kerfuffle myself this last weekend. And I will tell you a little bit about that later on in my speech. So these are my 7 children in our last Christmas together, and I'm going to tell you a little story about my idea, my actual firm belief that being a joyful person is a choice, and not just the result of circumstances that you find yourself in. I hope to not rehearse. I've been sick for quite a while, and my brain's still a little foggy, and so I hope not to refer to them too much. I would like to share with you a thought that many of the people I've come in contact with in my life, as you get to know people, I'm almost 55, so I've met a lot of people. Bleacher mom for 18 years. And they tell stories of their life through milestones, and they're generally happy milestones, like, well, when my daughter won the dance competition, or when Bobby was 4, he learned to ride his bike, and they all seem to be really happy, joyful moments. But whether you're having a Disneyland day or probably the most horrible day that you could imagine in your life, whether you're joyful or not is really up to you. My life stories kind of went like that too for quite a while, until one incident on January 14th, 2006. I'll keep this together. A completely unforeseen and tragic accident instantly took the life of my 18-year-old son, my second son, Austin Cade. And this is Austin. And there were troubles in my second marriage, but we had 7 children in a blended family, and as you can see, they were all very happy and content with each other. But within 4 weeks, I found my then husband moving my son's items out of his bedroom and into the storage so that his new nephew-in-law could move in. Well, that soon ended up in a separation, and I instantly found myself with my oldest son being incarcerated, my oldest daughter seeking refuge in a wilderness therapy program so that she wouldn't kill herself over the grief of her brother. And there I was with my youngest daughter, living in a strange place, not able to work. And she just looked at me one day and said, "Mom," this is maybe 2 weeks after Austin passed, "it's all really sad, but I just can't cry anymore." And then seemed to go along her happy way as a normal 7th grader without a care in the world. And I just remember thinking, really? This is my life now? This was 3 weeks before Austin died. Big happy family, and all of a sudden it's shattered. So, by September of that year, the devastation on all of the rest of the children was too much, and my second husband at that time, we reconciled. Mostly for the sake of the kids, to bring support and nurturing and to try to keep their lives going as normal as possible. But I also had a beautiful son, Chad, who from birth suffered from what was called Hunter's syndrome. And he was only expected to live till he was 8 or 9. We got married when he was 9. And just a week after his 20th birthday, he died peacefully in his father's arms. And again, we were faced with all the upheaval again of everything we had lived through with Austin passing. Now we were bearing another son, and needless to say, the abilities to reconcile our other issues in our marriage just didn't beat the statistics of 95% failure anyways. So there I was with my 3 children. We were all back together, but I was again, this time facing divorce again. I had been working for my attorney husband, and now I had to find a job outside of the home, and it was a very low, discouraging, very sorrowful, self-pitying time. But I managed for the next couple of years to keep it together. And after all, I said I was a bleacher mom for 18 months, so there were lots of ball games still to go to and lots of things to get. And I was the Mary Poppins mom with the bag that had everything. And so I put on a happy face, but inside there was no joy. And I remember my bishop, who was our church leader, asked me if I would give a talk on overcoming tragedy. I thought, really, me? What have I learned in these few years? And preparing for that talk to give in church, I came across a book, a quote actually, and I want to read it, from a Auschwitz and Dachau survivor, Viktor Frankl, who wrote in one of his memoirs, "Everything can be taken from a man but one thing, the last human freedoms, to choose one's own attitude in any given set of circumstances, to choose one's own way." He learned how he could choose joy over and over, focusing on joyful things at the very moment that something awful was happening to him. After I read this whole book, I felt really ashamed that I had been so self-pitying and so self-absorbed in my own sadness that I didn't remember the promises and the blessings that I knew to be true from my God and my own personal experiences. So I was 50, divorced twice, and I began my journey to find joy in my life. Men were not in my 2-year plan. Unfortunately, one came in, and that started kind of another whole set of cancer and da-da-da. But I have found that each day I can choose joy. And just one little example to finish up this story is last Saturday, following 2 weeks of bronchitis and missing 8 days of work, I was kind of in a kerfuffle, trying to get everything done in my house that had just gone by the wayside for 2 weeks. And so I was like literally running to the laundry room and feeding the dog and grabbing the trash and doing all these things. And I had a big, great garbage can sitting outside the door, and it was finally full. So I stepped off the first little 1.5-inch ledge, grabbed the can, spun it around in some type of pirouette, and to put it over here, stepped on my flip-flop, watched in slow-mo as my ankle cracked in half, and I fell onto my right leg, which created cuts and a big bruise. And I'm lying there on the ground, my cell phone's in my back pocket, and thank goodness my pit bull's inside, otherwise he'd have been licking all over my face. But he was whining, and I said to myself, what am I going to do? I'm crying out loud. I'm actually screaming. I'm like, wait, I don't want my next door neighbor, Jeffrey Dahmer, to come and help me. So, well, he's not really, but he is. So I was just crying, and I called a couple people. My husband, we were kind of not getting along that day. He didn't answer. My friend's on spring break, so I just laid there. And I'm thinking, oh, I was going to go shopping. I have a white shirt on. It's probably all dirty. And then all of a sudden I was just lying there looking up at the sky. And I went, wow, it's really nice out. The wind's blowing nicely. And birds were chirping. And then all of a sudden I just felt this peace come over me, this joy.